it is moving, and it is working right. I actually work with television, and I do classical music, and Victor, my son, plays classical guitar. I have to tell you
cool.
why we're interested in this, because he is the one that introduced me to your music.
Oh, really?
And the thing that I found interesting, of course, was that I was a little hooked on his heavy metal trend, and here was this band who played with that fierce energy, and also there were so many more layers in it. It sort of verged on, I wouldn't say serious music, but anyway, some kind of a more complex composed music.
Yeah.
Is this right? Is it something that came out from the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, we, as young kids growing up playing guitar and drums and everything, we listened to the same type of music that I guess everybody else was listening to our age, that got us into rock and roll, like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin and all these, AC/DC and all these typical rock bands and stuff. Yet at the same time, I don't know why, but coincidentally, we also listened to a lot of jazz and classical and other types of progressive rock music, like the music of Frank Zappa and the Dixie Dregs and Yes and early Rush and King Crimson and Genesis and all these bands that were doing different things, and Mahavishnu and and then as I started getting more into guitar, getting into like Alan Holdsworth and Al Di Meola and Mike Stern and like sort of using all these different influences and but still playing pretty heavy and pretty hard, and that's what developed into our music combination.
Okay, so why did you pick the guitar? Why did thousands and thousands of people pick the guitar in those days? Would you know that?
I mean, this might sound corny, but I was like drawn to it. In my neighborhood there was a lot of guys playing instruments and bands, and I can remember just walking down the street and seeing guys playing acoustics and just being like, wow, I want to do that, I had dreams about playing guitar, like literal. I would wake up and I'd have this reoccurring dream of myself playing guitar, and anytime I would see guys playing, I was always drawn to it for some reason. I don't know why.
Like standing on the stage and listen to the people, the ovations. I mean, the Guitar Hero thing.
Yeah.
Was that it? Or
no, actually it wasn't, because at that age I was like 12 years old when I started playing guitar, and I wasn't really exposed to too much of that, of the whole, I didn't go to my first concert until I was I don't remember, 16 or something like that. So it was more just like the guys in the neighborhood playing that drew me to it, oddly enough, just hearing the music and just seeing like just friends of mine or like friends' older brothers or whatever playing. It's like, wow, I want to do that,
But okay, then you grew up and then you got more conscious of what you wanted to do, and you went to Berkeley.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because first of all, because I knew that pursuing music professionally was what I wanted to do. I had a total passion for it. There wasn't anything else I wanted to do, and I was the kind of guy that wanted to do things right. Like, I was a good student in school. I always got good grades. I always followed through. So I wanted to do the same thing musically. And a lot of the musicians that I was influenced by and that I heard about, like Al Di Meola and Steve Vai and John Scofield and these certain guys, all went to Berkeley. So I was like, oh, I'll go to Berkeley,
But my impression of Berkeley is that it's mainly a hothouse for jazz musicians. Were you ever drawn into jazz? But or did you decide to go into something more like rock?
I was always playing rock guitar. I consider myself a rock guitar player. However, I'm definitely into jazz. I was exposed to a lot of jazz at Berkeley, and I had to play a lot of jazz, different real book tunes and for solos, and all the theory at Berkeley is all from a jazz perspective. so I got really turned on to it. And I have a lot of it, I think, in my playing and phrasing and stuff like that. I've taken a lot of that influence, but I wouldn't call myself a jazz player, you know.
Because one difference between jazz and rock music is in rock music you have lyrics that play a large part. I mean, rock composition as opposed to jazz composition is usually non-instrumental only.
Yeah.
Was that it? Because I mean, you have written a lot of the lyrics.
Yeah, I mean, put it this way, that that was one of the things that I didn't want to lose. I always wanted my band to have a vocalist. I was, and I still am, very moved by singers and lyrics and the content of lyrics, and there's so many great songs that I'm moved by the way that the guys sing it. So I didn't want to lose that. I think if there's any part of the jazz spirit that this band has, it's an improvisational spirit. When we're writing the songs, we kind of improvise all the stuff and then we craft it into the song, and it pretty much stays that way. So it's not necessarily that we're improvising when we record, but when we play live, we always do, throughout the show there'll be several sections where we're just going off and jamming, just improvising, and I don't know, that's a lot of the jazz spirit. It's all improvised.
It sounds incredible when you listen to your records with all those rhythmic devices and all those cross rhythms and polyphonic and polyrhythmic devices that you have. Can you really improvise on those things?
A lot of the complicated sections that are intertwined and there's counterpoint and all that stuff, I mean, it's definitely composed. It was worked out, and we know exactly where each guy is on what beat. So in that sense, the spark of it was coming from an improvised thing, but then we crafted it into something specific. However, I think from listening to the type of music we do and also playing with each other, because everybody in the band knows about polyrhythms and different stuff and odd times. A lot of times we do jam in odd times and do polyrhythmic stuff, and we can almost read each other's minds, and it actually feels more comfortable sometimes. It's something we can groove on, these things that aren't necessarily natural feeling in general.
But it's not a matter of going back into simpler musical styles and jamming like you would jam on an old blues tune or whatever. You still keep the complexity. Well, we do a little bit of both, to tell you the truth. We do, every once in a while. Put it this way: this band rarely plays blues. Yeah.
I mean, I'm into it, and keyboard player is totally into it. But as a group, we don't really do too much blues playing. There's a section of the show where we do a guitar solo where it's guitar and piano, and it's sort of like gospel-y, bluesy. But that's about it. And all the other type of jams we have are kind of crazy.
We saw last week a couple of sections from the Ronnie Scott
Oh,
adventure
yeah.
on MTV where you played your covers, but that seemed to be more for the fun of it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay. So when you write your lyrics, you talk about wanting to have the voice in the band and listen to the singer or whatever, but it seems that you can actually read them. I mean, they are poems. And I know that I'm not the only one to try to figure out what they really are about, because they are some kind of a literary. I mean, you listen, you look at the words, you listen to the words, and you try to figure out what they mean, but they are just as kind of a sound sculpture sometimes, or whatever.
Yeah, they. I mean, it depends on who in the band writes the lyrics. Sometimes you can really tell what the guy's saying. I know personally when I write. The song is constructed musically, instrumentally first, and then, we know where the sections will be that are vocal sections, and then I construct a melody around that, and then shape the words to the melody. And the words, the content, was inspired by whatever, either the music or some event that happened or something that I had written down. And I write in a lot of metaphors, and I am addicted to like the shapes of words and sounds. So sometimes it comes across where you can't really tell what I'm talking about. I mean, I know what I'm talking about.
Are you saying you are using the words in a sort of James Joyce way that for the sound and shape of them? as musical material.
Yeah, a lot of times, yeah. But hopefully not sacrificing the meaning. It's not arbitrary, you know. They do mean what they're supposed to mean.
But still, I guess you can say that the metal type of music is a harsh music, it's a fierce music, basically. It's a lot of, not only energy, but a lot of bad energy. You let out all your aggressions and everything. And yet you call your latest album Awake, which seems almost Buddhist to me, in a sense. And I must say, I have a hard time to read and listen to the lyrics and then put that together with the title Awake, because there is a lot of distrust and I mean, the ending is not very hopeful.
Yeah, that's pretty. I'll never be open again.
and yet you call it Awake.
Yeah. The way you could look at it is this: there are basically, if there's any common thread throughout the lyrics, it's that, you know, certain things were discovered over a period of time by us. You know, these might be negative discoveries or whatever, you know. But the feeling that you're left with is a new perspective on the event that happened. You know, in other words, you went into it sort of blindly, and in some cases, you trip, you fall, you get burned, whatever. In some cases, it's like a positive thing that happens, but in all cases, you come out knowing something about yourself, and that's being awake.
Do you see a little more clearly?
Yeah.
Of the situation?
Totally,
so
exactly.
This means that you're not only a band that plays for the fun of it, but you play because there is a situation in the country and the world and whatever, and you draw from that and you express something from that. I mean, you take your music seriously.
Oh, totally. Put it this way, I've like taken everything I've done serious. I mean, there's a lot of looseness involved as well, but I mean, we're all passionate about what we do, big time. You know, it's not only, you know, a dream of being successful in music as a career, but it's you know, for me and for a couple of the other guys, the best part about the whole thing is the writing and the creating, you know, and having an idea and hearing it in your head and then realizing it and being in the studio and then, you know, presenting it. It's like that's the best part. That's the therapy of it, you know. So that we take really seriously.
The reason I'm asking is I have a feeling that you work a little like you would be interested in telling people about what's happening in the world. So you make either a conference of some sort, or you make a movie like Blade Runner, or you make a record album, and that seems to be where you are. Yeah,
it's, you know, in a way, when you start getting into like social issues and political issues, it's almost an area where you know, entertainers it could cross the line, you know, because I think a lot of kids or whatever look up to guys in bands and actors and athletes and stuff, and if they express a certain view politically or socially, the kids are really influenced by that. So you try not to be preachy in that way. You know, if anything, you just analyze your perspective of what happened.
Okay.
You know.
So your man is coming in. Oh, do we have to go on? Oh, okay. So
there's a full shoot right after this. So
okay. No. Well, I only have a couple of more questions, and one is with the kind of music that comes out from you. I mean, you have had 2 or 3 records out, really, so it's hard to see where you're going for a bystander. But would you think that you would at any time be composing music to be played by others?
I could see that happening. You know, I'd put it this way: besides the music of Dream Theater, I have so many songs that I've done and that are kind of put aside that could be used for like a Disney movie or something. You know what I mean? Like all these different things that have nothing to do with the. What
do you listen to when you listen to music?
Well, I'll tell you the CDs I have with me on this tour. I have about 3 Bartók symphonies. I have a whole Brahms collection. I have Beethoven's Third Eroica, and I have Oscar Peterson, and I have Van Halen and Extreme.
Well, it's a cross section.
Yeah.
Nothing by Reich or...
By Queensryche?
No, I mean Reich. The,
Oh, right. I'm sorry. No.
No. The other one, Reich.
No.
You're not into the minimalist.
I never got it. It's something I might be into. I just never got exposed.
But Bartok could interest you, I guess.
Oh,
with
man.
his,
Yeah.
Cross-reps and...
It's
and
scary.
everything. It's scary.
It's really... I have to listen to his music with the lights on.
That's good.
It's very scary.
Do you feel... Sometimes, I feel like when I see someone like you on stage, that you're a throwback to the late 1900s with a Liszt-type piano player, but these days it's a guitar player. Does your playing ever run away with you?
Yeah, definitely. I run away from my playing. Yeah, I was actually talking to James, our singer, about this. When we're playing live, there's a lot of it that's by rote, that we're just doing. And there's like a 5% thing that happens where it's just this, this feeling where you feel like what you just said, that it's running away, and that it's just something, that's kind of flowing out. Like, I hate to sound so corny, but it's just happening, and it's a spark of inspiration, and it happens, and you feel like it's all flowing and happening, and it's very natural, and the other, whatever, 90 or 95% of the time, it's what you've learned. It's your craft. It's like trying to play the parts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wish it was more the other way.
I just have a comment that whenever you talk about your music or your output in intellectual terms, you are very at ease. But when it comes to when the music really flows out, you always says, "I'm sorry to sound corny."
You know why? I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because there's a certain thing that we in our band, in our community, or whatever, we make fun of. It's like this sort of Spinal Tap type of thing, like, I must compose my music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the total like snobby thing. So that's, maybe I shouldn't be so self-conscious of that, but that's what I mean by that.
Okay, thank you. Do we miss anything?
No.
No, I think this is very
so.
fine. I should. Yeah, I think this is what I